Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for your kind messages. And I'm really happy that you find my videos important and interesting. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and please forward my videos because I'm not really into any light astrology. I won't ever be able to do magazine astrology or things like that. And what I'm trying to do is to go behind the veil, behind the obvious layers of a chart, and with the help of a lot of things that are hinting at the karmic deep layers, I'm trying to uncover the things that are usually remaining hidden. And that is what transcendental karmic astrology is able to provide. And this is something that is not light. So a lot of people don't even understand. And a lot of people don't want to be bothered by these things. I remember 30 years ago when Sue Tompkins was my tutor, and she was always laughing at me because every time I looked at the chart, I was trying to look at the so-called quintile series or the nobile series, anything that is not in the chart, but is going to lift up something from the karmic past for me to be able to read that hint. And I remember she kept looking. I remember there was some sort of seminar at London School of Astrology, and right before that, I wrote an article about the Queen at Chile 165 degrees, and she kept looking at me and say what it is, what sort of aspect it is. Anyhow, so she was fine. I really liked her sense of humor. I liked her a lot. I hope she is well. Anyhow, so let's take a look at today's chart, which is just a very funny little structure. It's a harmony triangle, and it will be there for sure between February 2nd and 5th. It will be later on as well there, but it will be out of sign sooner or later. It's going to be for another 10 days for sure. But on the 5th, there's going to be the Leo full moon, which this particular harmony triangle is part of. So I'm going to make a video on that as well. And later on, it's going to be in Orb still, but let's concentrate on these early February days. And here the main attraction, of course, is the Pluto-Sedna trine. It's an Earth trine. It's an Anaretic Earth trine at the very last degrees of Capricorn and Taurus. You probably know that Pluto's orbital period is 250 years, and Sedna's orbital period is 12,500 years. So this is kind of a rare trine. It's not something that is happening all the time. There were in the past maybe 60 years, there were some Sedna Pluto aspects, squares and other aspects as well. But the trine hasn't been there for quite a while, because for this you need either a fire or an earth sign Pluto. And as I said, Sedna is very, very slow, so it's happening now. Now let's first take a look at the word anaretic. If you do regular, normal, or medieval astrology, you will work with two concepts: the hyleg and the anareta. And hyleg is either the sun or the chart ruler, whichever has a better position. The hyleg means the life giver of a chart. And the planet that has the worst aspect to this hyleg is the anareta, the planet who is taking away the life force. So actually, the original Greek verb is anairein, something like that, anairein, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. Although my name, Griga, comes from Greco, so it's a shame that I don't speak Greek at all. But my family came from Spain maybe 200 years ago, and our original name was Greco. So probably I have something common. I have some Greek blood in me, probably. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but I do love Greek people. And the verb means to kill, to do away with something, to kill, to destroy. So the destroyer, we could say destroyer. In karmic astrology, the anaretic concept simply means that in a past incarnation, the native was not able to either surpass that archetype or to do something with it, or to step one step ahead to get into the next energy pattern, and it was stuck in its process and also in its own concept. And it needs to proceed, but it is unable to. So that's practically it. I once offered a seminar for my London group about the anaretic placements, because there are actually 4 different positions of being anaretic, which I'm not going to tell you, only hinting at it, that in this particular trine, Pluto is direct and Sedna is retrograde. You can see that Sedna is magenta. Any magenta in this, I use astrokarma for my drawings, and it's a very clear-cut face, the chart faces. So nothing is there that would occupy your attention, but the only way to know that this is retrograde is that it has a different color. It's not black, but slightly magenta. So Sedna is retrograde, and Sedna denotes 2 things. On the general level, it denotes creation through dissection. This, of course, comes from the original myth, the Inuit myth, where Sedna's father is cutting her into pieces, cutting off her fingers and hands and arms, simply because she wants to get back to into his boat. And it's a horrible story. It's really a horror story. But out of her limbs, cut limbs, are the mammals, the sea mammals created. So it's actual creation through dissection. But it also has a second connotation, which is only valid on the personal level. Especially, we look at this personal level only in case someone has Sedna in very, very tight aspect, preferably conjunction or square, with something very personal. So either the chart ruler or the personal planets or the ascendant or maybe the nodes, but it has to be very tight. And then the second meaning comes into the forefront, and it means it means some serious abuse within the family. Usually sexual abuse, but it could be any type of abuse, and especially against children, against a child. So it's very, very painful on the personal level as well. But on the universal level, it simply it suggests that you need to look at your life, you need to look at the situation, you need to look at the concept, and whatever is not working properly, you need to just get rid of it and create out of the remaining pieces something that is new and workable and manageable. And Sedna has been in Taurus for 60 years. It's interesting because it has an 11,500-year-old orbit, meaning that it approximately should stay in one sign for 1,000 years. But it was only for 100 years in Aries and only for 60 years in Taurus, showing that its very elliptical orbit is at the closest of the sun. That's why we see it much faster than average. And it's going to move into Gemini next year in 2024, while Pluto is moving into Aquarius. And actually this year, we are going to have 2 trines, one now in February, early February, the other one will be in June. And then Pluto will go back to Capricorn, before it actually goes back to Capricorn and then makes a trine with Sedna. In the June trine, you will see Pluto retrograde and Sedna direct. And then next year, they go both moving into the next sign and again making a trine. And Pluto will be at the exact degree where the last Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in 2020 at the winter solstice was at 0 degrees Aquarius. And that is where the trine is. And that is why I think that the new era is setting in only next year. This is a transitory year, certainly. Although the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction already heralded a new era in 2020. But you know, there are transitions, and we are in the transitory period at the moment. So anyhow, that's the trine. And if we want to analyze that trine, I have a couple of YouTube videos out there already on this trine, so you can actually check it out. But it simply means that we will be able to transform whatever is not working in our life and redo it in a way that is going to be workable. At the moment, this trine is in Earth signs, and if you look around, you will see that the whole world is in turmoil, and idiotic things are being propagated and suggested and actually pushed on us. Please pay attention to real data. The globe, our globe, has never been greener as a result of carbon emission, because the plants eat carbon. They eat carbon dioxide, and this is what they transform into oxygen. If you don't have emission, if you have zero emission, you're going to kill the plants. Okay, so it's very, very stupid to have zero emission. And the whole thing is to push us into this controlled society where you have credit points, where you don't have cash, where you can't use your own car to drive it anywhere you want. You can't use your own money, because actually I just heard that is really scary. Now in China, you know, you can no longer have savings. You need to spend your money, whatever you earn in a month, you have to spend it, because you can't put it in a savings account. So with this, you won't have any whatever. I'm not even, let's concentrate on this place, because I don't really want to be mad, but I have been mad for the last couple of days, because really we could live quite well, and we could actually lift people out of poverty with the new technology. Instead, they want to push us back into the Middle Ages. And it's crazy. Okay, it's crazy, because yes, you need private property, because people will only work for what they own. Believe me, I lived half my life in a communist country. I know how it worked. It didn't work anyhow. Okay, it just doesn't work. And to those who think that, yeah, because it's a brilliant idea, and whatever has been done so far is not the real thing. Okay, we don't want that real thing. Okay, if you want to try it, go to an island, try to your own community, leave us alone. Allow me to eat whatever I want, to drive whatever I want and can afford. Don't take away what is mine, because I'm going to kill you for that. Okay, very, very simple. People, it's not me. Okay, not in my age. I don't even have a weapon. But what I was trying to paraphrase is simply that if you do this to people, people will revolt, and in the aftermath, yes, they will kill. So it's a very, very dangerous, really slippery slope if we go there. Okay, so Anaretic, we are back to Anaretic. And in this particular harmony triangle, you have at the apex, you have the Vesta Astrea conjunction. I'm just killing off my, killing off my glasses. Anyhow, this conjunction will be there throughout the year in 2023. And it simply means focus on karma breaking, focus on destiny changing. And this is exactly what we need to do. If you look around, they are trying to escalate the Ukrainian war. Now they are giving them the tanks. And Zelensky never said, have you noticed that he never says thank you? He just demands and demands and demands. And now he demands planes. Now he wants airplanes. Brilliant, okay? Really, it's just brilliant. And I'm not going to tell you any other news about this, because our topic is the Anaretic triangle, being stuck in a situation. And here on February the 4th, you see that the moon at the very end of Cancer is forming this triangle into a trapeze. Now, a trapeze is always a platform where you can actually step up, or a stage where you can actually step onto and give your thoughts and provide people with your ideas. And there is this base for this is the Moon-Pluto opposition, and actually it's the power against the people. That's exactly what happened. Did anyone ask any of the European people whether they want this war, whether they want to sponsor the Ukrainian war? Ukraine is not a NATO country. It's not an EU country. Why are we paying for this? Has anyone asked these questions? You know why we are paying for this? Because this is of American interest, because the American state, the American deep state, has assets in the Ukraine. They invested heavily in the Ukraine, and they simply want to keep their assets, and they push this war in our lap. This is what's happening. And that's how the Pluto-Moon opposition is showing you the power against the people. And the inside of the trapeze are two trines. One is, of course, the Sedna-Pluto trine. The other one is the Moon Vesta-Astrea trine. And again, the moon illuminates, but also put your, you could be describing this as like the potential, the energy of putting your soul, the moon, into focusing on life-changing, life-altering situations. And of course, the sides of the trapeze are sextiles, potentials, and the top of the stage is also a sextile. And here are the transcendental objects linked to the trapeze at that particular moment. I was fascinated to learn that the moon is on Clio. Clio is one of the muses, the Greek muses, the muse of history. Learn from history. It's really scary that in Western European countries, they don't teach history. The pretext is because there are so many foreigners, there are so many refugees, and you don't want to offend them. If a country doesn't have a past, it won't have a future. That's that simple. So today's young people can't learn from the past because they don't know the past. And this placement shows us learn from the past. Go and find old textbooks, old books on history and learn from it. You will see that history does repeat itself. On Pluto, you have Amor, love, Melpomene, tragedy, and two centaurs, Aureus and Amicus. I spoke about Amicus a couple of times. Amicus is the centaur who is mixing up the profound with the sacred because he doesn't care for the sacred. He wants to win. Look around, that's what's happening. And Aureus is a bear centaur with his brother, and he's killing people, he's tearing people apart, and Zeus gets so fed up with his sins that he wants to punish them. Actually, he wants to kill them. But because they are the great-grandchildren of Ares, the war god, they get mitigation. So they don't get a full punishment. They are turned into birds or something like that. So it's usually when you don't get what's you simply because you are who you are. Don't you see that this is happening everywhere? Look who is getting punished and who is not getting punished, and for what crimes. You can get away with murder. You can get away with everything, really, if you are born at the right position. And that's what's happening in the birth. Also, on the Vesta Astrea conjunction, you have Shiva, who is the third of the Trimurti, the destroyer. So she's the one who destroys everything in order to create something new. Hannibal, of course, the general who was able to cross the Alps, and Hermes, the god of that hermetic knowledge, really. There were three hermetic sciences, astrology, magic, and alchemy. So everything linked to that is ruled by Hermes, asteroid Hermes. You also have Borasisi, which is a centaur named after Kurt Vonnegut's Kretz-Krabel story in which it has there's some sort of new religion, Bokononism. The story itself is very, very similar to the Uranus Gaia story, where Uranus doesn't like his sons and daughters and just exiles them back into Gaia's womb. This is something what Boras does, and besides being the son, the ruler, the emperor, he's also someone who is the usurper, who is using his power in a bad way. And then Shead, of course, which is one of the main words of suicide victims, the healing word of suicide victims, Beta Perseus. And then Sedna has been, is, and will be on the Pleiades in this year and next year as well. And there's also Moira, the three fates, the goddesses of fate. So that's on the original trapeze, which will be exact in the small hours or early hours between 6 and 9, maybe 6 and 10 London time. You can check your own time and your own placements. And then there are further anaretic objects. What I was interested to know is what else is being stuck at the last degrees? What else is not moving? And I did find a couple of interesting stuff. Yeah, first of all, at the very end of Scorpio, you have Sato, which describes toxic emotions which can actually poison you, and Toliman, which is Alpha Centaur, which you will never be able to see it from the northern hemisphere. It's a southern constellation, the Centaur, and the whole constellation is linked to healing karmic wounds, healing chironic wounds. Toliman is the main star for that. So you can actually heal toxic emotions, hopefully. By the way, I put in 2 of these fixed stars here, but I want you to know that fixed stars are unable to form aspects or configurations. They are not part of the solar system. There's no such thing as a star trining your sun. It doesn't happen. It's simply because, I mean, Google it and take a look where it is in the sky. Sometimes I show you. So sometimes I have planetarium pictures and to show you how the same degree in the longitude could be placing stars at very, very, very different positions in the night sky. So you won't ever have a trine or anything. I did include them here because they are also very, very slow-moving entities, and because they are at their position, they just became anaretic. So for 72 years, they are going to still be anaretic, and at the same time, they are tightly conjunct. That's the only thing that we are using for fixed stars. They are tightly at the same degree as these centaurs and occasionally asteroids. Now, asteroids have approximately a 4 to 4.5 year orbit. Centaurs could have an orbit anywhere between 80 to 11,000 or 10 or even 40,000 years. So those are the really small, slow-moving ones. So that's Sato toxic emotions that may be healing through the energy of Toliman. At the very end of Aquarius, you have we have two centaurs, Crantor and Damocles. Crantor is to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and die as a result. And Damocles is impending danger. That's exactly what's happening. Look, that it is these two are squaring Sato toxic emotions. It's a fixed square, so it's old toxic emotions, aminosity between Ukrainians and Russians, between Americans and Russians, between Europeans and Americans, between Europeans and Russians. You have everything. It's really there. And yes, we seem to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately, and with impending danger, Damocles. And then you have Icarus and Atropos. And Icarus was one of the hubris asteroids. The story is that although his father tells him not to, he still flies towards the sun because he loves flying with these fake wings, of course, because they are escaping the island of Crete with his father Daedalus. And of course, as a result, because the wings are put together with wax. Wax is simply melting as it comes near the sun, and Icarus falls into the ocean and dies. And this means that if you go too high without proper protection, you will fall. Hopefully it's going to be the European leaders, because that's exactly what they are doing. And then Atropos is the third of the fates, who is cutting the thread of life. That's happening at the very end of Aquarius. And then at the very end of Gemini, you have two centaurs or TNOs, Chaos and Bienor. Chaos is a TNO with an orbital period of 310 years, and it is about to move into Cancer this year. So it has already moved briefly in Cancer last year, then it went back to Gemini, and now it's going to move for good. And all year long, it is making, and actually next year as well, it is making quincunx with Pluto. Sometimes it's out of sign, sometimes it is. So sometimes it's in opposition, and sometimes it is actually in the second half of the year, it's going to be an opposition, because Pluto is moving back into Capricorn, while Chaos will be moving into Cancer. So it's a quincunx with an opposition energy. At this particular moment, it's still a proper quincunx. Chaos means chaos, of course. And Bienor is another creative centaur that wants to shine and is full of himself and believes in himself. So it's another hubris energy, someone who knows what his worth is and wants to show it off to the world. And then Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, I don't know how to pronounce it, is the alpha star of Orion, or Orion. Again, I don't know how you pronounce it. I apologize for it. And it is one of the most brilliant stars. First of all, it is, you can see it. It's on the night sky, in the night sky at the moment. It is the one of the, it's actually the eastern shoulder of Orion. And it is, according to Bernard Brady, it's one of the best and most beautiful stars. It brings luck and success, unlimited, and without any hook or any catch or anything else. It's really there. And which means that chaos will be amplified. But don't forget that out of chaos may come a new order, but not the new order that the new world order, of course, that they are pushing us according to the World Economic Forum. And there was a tune change. I don't know whether you noticed this. They don't really talk about new order, simply because they think that the new order is there. Now they talk about a new system. And this is phase 2, when they actually want to implement this new system. And we are about 2 minutes away from this thing that they are trying to push on us. Okay, so that's actually the this anaretic configuration at the moment. A lot of things, a lot of these centaurs are stuck at the last degrees of the signs, and so there's a lot of frustrated energy, unable to move, unable to make the next step. Which is on the one hand good, because hopefully the powers that be won't be able to implement what they are planning for us. But at the same time, we need to be prepared, and we need to make those steps the moment we feel the energy and the moment people are really awake. And actually, I'm proposing something now. I hate wokeism. I hate the concept of being woke. It's so wrong and so stupid, just like the word itself. Because if you look at the English language, this is an old word, so it's a Germanic word. It comes from Old German, so it came from like 2,000 years ago. All the basic verbs actually that they were using 2,000 years ago are the old so-called irregular words, and the rest of the words that come from Latin and French, actually about 10 years, around 1000, you know, when William the Conqueror conquered the British Isles in 1066, and that's where the Franks, the Frank language became partly English as well. So those are the regular verbs. And where are you, Tamara, to help me whenever I can't say properly something? Anyhow, and this is an old Germanic verb. And the proper three forms are wake, woke, woken. There's no such thing as woke because it simply means the past tense. So if you want to use it as an adjective, you need to use the word woken, or you need to use the word, the adjective itself, awake. And this is what I'm proposing. So for us who know what's going on and we see through this agenda, let's be the people of being awake. Thank you for listening. And let's do something that is really important. Thank you. Bye-bye.